This video is going to discuss the basics of subject-verb agreement, which is a critical aspect of your academic writing. Every sentence has a subject, every sentence has a verb, and they need to match. First, I'll do a quick review of the basics and then go into some more difficult types of sentences. Okay, firstly, he, she, it, that, this. These words are for singular subjects and require singular verbs. For example, if you're in the present tense, that is, or that has, or she does or she doesn't like sports. If it's the past tense, that was interesting, that had a lot of potential, that did a lot for me. He had a problem, he was a nice person. One of the tricky aspects, and one of the areas where I see really high frequency errors, is with the S at the end of simple present tense verbs. It's critical that we get these correct. So for example, she seems like a nice person. She enjoys sports. Very important that the S is there. Let's take a look at plural words that you are familiar with. They, we, you, which is an exception, these and those. All these words signify singularity. So for example, those were beautiful, past tense. Those are beautiful, present tense. You have a problem, you had a problem. We do, or we didn't, or we don't. These are verbs for plural subjects, and these are plural subjects. Now, one of the important points to mention is that when the subject is plural, there is no S on the simple present tense action verb. For example, these seem interesting. Those seem interesting. And of course, if it were past tense, you seemed interesting. But for simple present tense, we have the issue where we either add an S or we don't. Remember, for a plural subject, there is no S. For a singular subject, there is an S. Okay, now let's go to some more difficult types of subjects, which are called complex subjects. It says here, the political problems in Mexico. Now the question is, this is the subject, the political problems in Mexico. But inside the subject, we have more than one noun. Mexico, problems. So the question is, which one of these identifies, which one of these tells us what kind of verb we should use? I want you to answer that question for yourself. The political problems in Mexico are serious, or the political problems in Mexico is serious? Why? Because in Mexico is not the most important subject. It's not the most important part of the subject. Here is the magic word, problems. Problems is the one word that we can consider the subject. Everything else is helping this word. For example, this is saying where the problems are. This is saying what type of problems they are. So in the end, problems are. It's very important that you're able to do that. Now let's take a look at another example. The political problem in various countries. Well, this word suggests, well, it might be plural. This one suggests that it might be single. So for example, the political problem in various countries are or is? here is the word. This is the main part of the subject that's going to tell us what type of verb to use. And that verb is singular. Again, political is just describing the problem, and in various countries, this is just saying where it's happening. Countries is not the subject, it's only part of the subject. For example, we couldn't say countries is very serious. No, it's the problem is very serious. This, again, is the part of the subject, the part of the complex subject that tells us what type of verb to use. So if this were to be an action verb, I might say, the political problem remains. The political problem in various countries remains. So this S here makes you feel like it should be plural, but it's not. It is singular. Let's look at another example. The teachers from New York. Which one of these words controls the verb? If you said teachers, you're correct. The teachers are hardworking. The teachers seem very nice. Which teachers? Well, the teachers from New York. So the teachers from New York are nice. Plural? Plural. Try another one. The smoking problem with adult males. Think about that one for a moment. The smoking problem with adult males. The smoking problem. Singular? Singular. Now if I were to change this from a to be to an action verb, remains very serious. The smoking problem remains. Problem remains. Singular? Singular. The Human Genome Project. Is very exciting. Okay? This is singular. I think that one was pretty easy. Information from the genetic studies. Singular or plural? Information is very interesting. Actually, for this information from genetic studies are important? No. Information from genetic studies is important. Singular? Singular. From genetic studies, this is just describing this. It's describing the information. So information is what controls the verb. Let's take a look at compound subjects. This is a bit easier. Local construction and pollution. This is one part of the subject, another part of the subject, and that makes it plural. So local construction and pollution cause a lot of issues. Plural? Plural subject. Same thing here. Running and weightlifting are good for you. 1, 2, that's plural, plural verb. Now, often we have problems with relative clauses, because relative clauses are complex sentences. They have, a sentence with relative clauses is a complex sentence, which means there's going to be more than one verb. So for example, the research study, which is singular, the research study, comma, which has, that's a singular verb, has impacted the doctor significantly. And then here's another verb, remains available on the internet. So it's very important that this verb matches and this verb matches. For example, the research study remains available on the internet. Singular subject, singular verb. But the verb inside the clause needs to also match the subject. So that's what makes it difficult. The research study, which has, because research study is singular. Let's take a look at another one. The Genome Project, comma, which remains one of the most ambitious scientific projects, was very expensive. So here we have the project, which is singular. Singular action verb, singular past tense verb. So in other words, the project was very expensive. This relative clause, which is non-restrictive, is parenthetical in nature, which means it doesn't have to be there. So the project remains. The project was. Again, this verb matches the subject of the sentence. This verb matches the subject of the sentence. This verb is the verb of the relative clause. This verb is the verb of the sentence. Let's take a look at another one. Some relative clauses are restrictive, which means they have to be there. It says, the lovely and expensive houses. And then there's the beginning of the restrictive relative clause. The lovely and expensive houses that are located in the business district are worth over $1 million. So the underlined portion is the relative clause. This verb is inside the relative clause, and it must be plural because this is plural. Houses. Yes, they're lovely and expensive, but here, houses that are located in the business district. So plural. And then here's the verb of the sentence. The lovely and expensive houses are worth over $1 million. Remember, the most important rule, all verbs have a subject and they need to agree with each other. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, please let me know.